Journeys Ahead, Aurora Legends, Number 4, 6 Years On. Written and narrated by T.S. ProArt. Soaring down from a foggy abyss, Voyd, with his angelic sapphire wings, descended downwards upon a gentle array of dewy grass, carrying Jaida in his arms. The duo weren't wearing their armors, for today they were in casual clothes. Voyd in his now normal blue cream sweater getup, and Jaida wearing a more lapis soft-colored dress. It was the 10th of March, a little under 2 months since the Rem had bust. Coming to a sliding stop, Voyd looked over his shoulder, noticing the massive city of Aurora in the far-off distance. By setting his sights back forwards, however, it revealed a more fogged-over, nature-filled world that left him confused on the inside. Freckles, why exactly do you want me to bring you to this location at 6 in the morning? Voyd asked with a tired set of yawns, as the angel took him by the hand and looked into his blue eyes. Her gorgeous hair flowed elegantly in the nearing spring wind, making it look like a real fire dancing out from a smoke pit. You'll understand soon enough. I just wanted you to be here with me for this. In a slow march, the duo began to make their way forwards, entering the wall of fog side by side. Today was a specific kind of day, one that ate Voyd up on the inside, with something that he didn't really want to fully mention, if at all. Jaida, however, wasn't her usual springy, rambunctious, happy self. Instead, she was eerily quiet and forward-thinking, acting like a stern adult over a bombastic hype girl. This, rightfully so, made Voyd very nervous. Something was wrong, but he just didn't know as to what. Then, they both came upon it. With a crack in the rising sunlight, the duo set their eyes upon a meticulously landscaped, park-like setting featuring numerous, identical, tall, dark gray stone monuments, all arranged in a grid-like pattern for what had to be miles. The monuments were rectangular in shape and were set on slightly raised, wider stone bases. Each monument displayed intricate, carved religious designs, predominantly in shades of light gray, reminiscent of historical art or architectural styles. The closer Voyd began to look, the more he began to notice that these designs seemed to depict a various set of scenes, some with figures in seated or standing positions, along with elements of stylized, possibly symbolic patterns. Paths of light gray paved stones went through the grassy area ahead, which were neatly trimmed. This approaching ground was mostly covered with short grass, with tiny purple and white flowering plants scattered throughout, that made Voyd think it to be one thing. Jaida, is this a graveyard? Voyd gently asked, as he and Jaida slowly began to walk again, now down one of the narrow paths. No, it's a memorial. The guitarist replied, as she let her free hand brush across each mounted stone they passed, all of them containing names. Voyd, this is the Night of 1,000 Flames Memorial Ground. Today marks 6 years since that night. 6 years since my life changed forever. Catching his breath, Voyd looked upon Jaida's face, her tired expression, her uneasy eyes. It all suddenly made sense. Wait, that happened on this very date? The spark wanted to know, while reading the names of the hundreds of markers they passed. There were so many, too many. Voyd knew the tragedy of Jaida's past was bad, but there had to be thousands of named stones. Too many to even read. Yep. It was on this date, 6 years ago, the meteors rained down upon the city. 6 years since my world and so many others had changed. I wanted to come here early to avoid the crowds that will drop by later this afternoon. Jaida sadly explained, her voice shaken and body stiff mid-stride. Gently, Voyd hauled himself closer upon his girlfriend, who didn't mind in the slightest. There's so many stones. I didn't know how bad it actually was. So many lives gone. Voyd said with disbelief, as he continued to read name after name, see picture after picture. This was an event that truly affected everyone. Men, women, children, elders, pets. All of them. Too many of them. As you know, Aurora is the biggest city in the world. There's a roundup to be about 10 million residents by today's statistics. 6 years ago, we lost nearly 2 million lives. Voyd immediately halted in his tracks to the ungodly number Jaida revealed. Nearly 2 million? He asked, completely taken aback by the mass amount of loss. That's just on the actual residents. Animals, homes, businesses, and so many other things that aren't accounted for were lost. It was a disaster unlike anything the world had ever seen, and has yet to see again. Jaida went on, letting her hand gently pass through the flowers at her sides mid-stride. It took 4 years for the city to rebuild and come back to function. Every country, every state, everyone from all across the globe came to help once the flames died out. It was the first time I think the world had truly united, an aftermath so horrendous that it finally showed the best side of humanity, even if it was only temporary. Slowly, Jaida came to a stop with Voyd close by in stride. Turning, she laid her eyes upon a specific set of stones, 4, each with different names. Jaida, Voyd whispered, watching as she slowly sat with spilling orange tears in her eyes. I still have nightmares of that night, you know? To be truthfully honest with you, Voyd, sometimes I just act the way I do to help me and the others forget how our world literally burned. But today is the only one of the year where I feel like I'm allowed to express grief without judgment. The angel sniffled out as Voyd at last read the names on the stones. Foggy Woods, Amelia Woods, Christina Woods, and Jackson Woods. With remorse in his heart, Voyd sat down beside Jaida, taking her hand in his, while just staring at the names of her family that no longer remained. There's no shame in expressing guilt, Jaida. You lost everything. Your parents, your siblings, your normality. Voyd began to speak, only to be greeted by Jaida's watering eyes and quivering lips. I, of all people, know that bottling it up leads you nowhere. You know this too. And I have to tell you something that's a bit crazy at this moment in time, Voyd muttered as Jaida wiped her tears away with shaking palms. What? She asked. I didn't want to bring it up today, but miraculously, by all odds it would seem, this also marks 6 years since I lost everything too. Voyd revealed as he pulled out the lotus cube from his sweater pocket in a bundled up fist. Wait, what? Jaida stuttered as Voyd looked at his own reflection within the block's cracked, blood-red exterior. March 10th. I remember it because I had plans with a friend on the 11th. Her name was Lee. Voyd began to explain as his saddened gaze returned back to Jaida. My tragedy happened 6 years ago as well. Nearly on the dot, given that it happened early in the morning. Crazy, right? In a stunned state, Jaida tightly gripped Voyd's hand back, noticing he too had a small tear trickling down his cheek. Look, Freckles, don't feel ashamed for your response to loss. You're a human. It's your nature to feel, to love, to have loved. Don't, for whatever reason why, just don't bury it. Hang on to that. Hang on to that love. No matter what anyone else says. You hear me? Voyd stated, his tone serious and mind racing. I know, but it's like a stigma here. Nobody wants to talk about it, to remember it. Not even knock or caught like bringing it up. So, it's just, it's hard to just... Jaida struggled to speak, only to then feel Voyd extend and wrap his metal arms around her in a big hug. Then talk to me. You helped crack my stupid shell. Let me help crack yours. Let me aid you as you did me. To these gentle words, Jaida softly slumped herself in the Voyd's embrace, trying her best to not break down sobbing. I don't even know where to begin or what to say. I don't deserve this kindness. Jaida stuttered, leaving Voyd to illuminate his horns into a blue shine, giving her a sense of his own warmth. Nonsense. You deserve so much more than you think, whether your brain tells you that or not. Looking up with soft eyes, Jaida and Voyd locked their irises. The hearts in their chests raced, the colors upon them swirling into a collection of purple hazes. It was as if they were two puzzle pieces, forever meant to click together. It even appeared their tragedies couldn't coexist without each other too. I don't know what I would do without you, Jaida whimpered, as the two rested their foreheads upon one another. Neither do I. For a long while, the two sat in silence, paying respects to not just Jaida's family, but everyone that had fallen on both sides. They sat there for around 10 or so minutes, quietly letting the wind caress their bodies in tears. Until Voyd asked the question. Jaida, If your parents were still around, do you think they would have liked me? To this, Jaida couldn't help but crack a smile and rest her head upon the spark's shoulder sphere. She found his question rather curious, peculiar, but something she didn't mind answering. That's a good question. Well, my dad would have probably wanted to do a music battle with you to prove that you were worthy enough to be mine. He was silly and quirky like that, always trying to wrap his tunes in the something shape. I don't know. Chuckling, Voyd cracked his own smile and looked at the name Foggy Woods, feeling upset that he would never get the opportunity to meet him. Well, that definitely sounds like what I'd expect from your father. Giggling to the spark's response, Jaida at first held her tongue before asking something herself. What would your family think of me? Biting the inside of his cheek, Voyd thought on the question, wondering just how his folks and brother would respond. Well, my mother, Celeste, I know for a fact she would have definitely loved you. She was pretty quirky, kind of like you. Voyd began as he then looked up to the sky. My father, Nova, probably the same. He wasn't quirky like my mom, but he did know how to detect a good heart when he sensed it. And my older brother, Core, he'd probably be like your dad, asking you a dumb rite of passage science question. He was a teacher. Voyd went on, as he then looked back down, smiling even wider. But, yeah, I think they would have liked you very much if they were still around. Satisfied, Jaida took in a long breath and happily smirked upon the stones, and then did something unexpected. Igniting a burning flame to her finger, she gently approached each memorial, and to Voyd's shock, wrote Nova's name under Foggy, Celeste under Amelia, and Core under Christina, causing Voyd's heart to skip a beat with disbelief. There. Now when we come back every year, we'll be able to remember them both. The angel stated as she turned to Voyd's tearing up face that screamed of gratitude. Thank you, Jaida. Thank you.